at the end as well, but it is Motivation Friday. So our Power 30 is all on motivation and mindset and getting ourselves set. And I love this because as we get started, it is the last day of the month, which usually brings this part, right, Dawn? And it is getting us set and in position because we set goals on April the 1st. And here we are on the 30th. And as we think about that today, I want you to think about a couple of things. So this is where I want us to start. I want you to close your eyes. Every single person, close your eyes for me real quick. Nobody look at anybody else unless you're driving. I want you to close your eyes and I want you to think about this word, joy. When you hear the word joy, what does your mind show you? What do you see in your mind when you think of joy? What do you hear? What do you smell? What are you doing? Have you ever felt joy? When I ask you these questions, can you even imagine that? Just speak joy to yourself in your mind and let your mind show you. Okay, you can open your eyes. As we think about today, as we think about the end of the month, as we think of it being Friday, a lot of people have a lot of joy on Friday because they're like, the weekend is coming. But what if it was Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday? What if it was 2 days before the end of the month, the last day of the month, the 11th hour of the month, and you had some really big goals? You get to set that. And so think about your day. And I want to ask you if you see joy in your day today. It might be a rainy day. For me, sunshine is joy for me. So whenever it's rainy, I have to choose joy, right? Because that's not my first. So do you see joy in your day to day? I think we often think about joy as something that happens to us. We enjoy ourselves at a birthday party or we enjoy a piece of cake. But the truth is that joy is something that happens in us. I mean, it is a choice. We choose joy like we choose positive mindset. We choose joy like we choose being focused or intentional. We choose joy like we choose to see possibilities and dreams and answers and options. But a lot of times we don't choose joy. That would be my question for you is, have you chosen it this week? Did you have a crappy week? Have you had a crappy morning? What did you choose? Kind of like what we were even talking about a little bit earlier with our thoughts. We choose the emotion. We choose the thought that is just a thought. It is so neutral. Oftentimes we've made it up. We have such an imaginary mind and we judge and we think, then we choose that emotion. What if you intentionally started changing your choices around that? A study was done about people in the workplace. And this study showed, the survey, they had an expectation to feel joy. Yet that survey that was done, only 37% of the people actually do. Only 37% of people actually feel joy. And I want you to think about that. Like when you started your Plexus business. No. There we go. When you started your business, I want you to think about this for a minute. Did you have joy when you started your Plexus business? When you started like learning and taking in and figuring out how to do things, were you excited? Did you start dreaming? I know for me that I did not start dreaming as an adult until I started this business. I had little dreams that I squashed because I was listening to a podcast this week, and I really want to share this at some point. It was magnificent. and you might have seen it in my stories, but this gentleman, he's a pastor, he's an entrepreneur, he makes men's clothes, like he's so brilliant. But he was talking about that uh, people dream, we're created, we have creative minds, and we are born with creativity and imagination. And by the age of 12, we lose the ability to dream and to imagine because of things that have happened in our lives, things that have been said to us, things that have limited us. And so we close that part of our brain. And I know for me, whenever I started this business, it reopened so much because I heard about it all the time. I was asked to dream, I was asked to visualize. My personal development grew. And all of a sudden, I realized that the Lord had given me a gift to reopen something that He had created in me whenever I was in my mother's womb. And I was excited. And so I have a question for you. On a scale of 1 to 10, I love for us to rate ourselves because we need an awareness to even be able to evaluate what's going on in our life and to extract the good parts of that. But I want you to rate between 1 and 10, 1 being I have zero joy, zero. And I haven't had joy for years. And 10, I have so much joy, I cannot contain it inside myself. Where are you on the joy scale? Somewhere in between 1 to 10. I want you to think about that. And then my next question for you is, why do you think people don't feel joy? Why don't you feel joy anymore? If you rated it under 5, between 1 and 5, it's really low on the joy scale. Why do you feel like that you don't feel joy anymore? I love, John Maxwell. I think he's taught me so much. I always go to him. Whenever the Lord puts something on my heart, I'm like, well, what would John Maxwell say? And I'm starting to be like that with Kyle Rainey. I'm like, what would Kyle Rainey say? But one thing that he says is that we quit choosing joy. We literally quit choosing. We expect someone else to be responsible for our joy. Have you ever thought about that? You have an expectation that someone else or a circumstance or a party or an event, then I'll find joy. I have an expectation of you making me feel joyful. I think a lot of times in this business, that's what shuts down leaders that are starting a business, is that they have an expectation on their team to bring joy or happiness or situations or high excitement, like we can't wait, oh my goodness. And then when they don't, we set an expectation that they cannot deliver on. And then we're like, man, this is just not what I expected. When in all seriousness, you choose, you set those paces, you set the expectation. Don't put it on somebody else. But we expect for our boss or our team or our spouse or our children to make us feel joyful. It's not their responsibility. And whenever you think about it, we give the one thing that we literally can control on our own, and that's our choice. And we give it away, and we accept whatever we get from the world. We accept their choice for us, and we become miserable when we have control of that. And so John Maxwell says that there are 3 different things that you can do to choose joy. Appreciate the people around you. Amen. Appreciate the team that you have, even if some of them might be hard, even if some of your clients don't. Appreciate them. I'm so grateful for the organization that I have and the people that I have, because even the hard ones teach me more about myself, teach me more about what I need to do differently, teach me more about me really getting to my heart values, right? So appreciate those people around you. Appreciate the circumstances that you find yourself in. We talk about this in my masterclass that I do, of the experiences and our past and the things that we've gone through. Like, be grateful for those circumstances, even if they've been hard, because God used it for you and to create your character and to redeem you in ways to use you in your future. So appreciate where you find yourself today on April the 30th, last day of the month, as you're growing your business, as you have these goals, as you have these expectations. Appreciate where you are. That gratitude goes a really long way. It also opens your brain to creative thinking, to problem solving. And then look for the good. Look for the good in the people and look for the good in the circumstances. Open up to that and realize that it's there for you to learn from. I think the greatest priority that we have in our life is the ability to enjoy it. Just enjoy your life. Whenever you enjoy your life, you're doing something honestly that is so unselfish. You are actually helping other people because you're setting your own example by showing what it means to be fully alive. I mean, I think that that's one of my biggest things. Whenever I sit back and say, God, I want you to use me to impact people. But one of the greatest things that I can do is just show people that I'm fully alive, that I am choosing my joy, that I am choosing the route that I'm going to go in life, that I am choosing to develop myself and to become better every single day, that I'm choosing laughter, that I'm choosing a different perspective whenever a perspective is hard. So the greatest thing that I can do is to set the way and the pace for others. And so I want you to think about that. I want you to think about what it is that you're doing and if you're being the best example of that, especially of joy. I think in our world today, people have lost the realization that they get to choose. And what if you are that person to be the example of showing that you can? And it's very, very powerful when you do. So, when you've been around people that have joy and that enjoy life to the fullest and really desire to thrive, like they really, really, really believe that God came so that they could have an abundant life. Like they really believe it. And so they're going to live it and they're going to choose it. Like when you're around those people, you know it. Like you know it. In fact, you're attracted to it. It's like you want to pull some of that out of them and put it on yourself. I mean, those people don't put themselves above other people. They actually serve those people and they find value in serving them and blessing them, which only brings them more joy. They believe that that's pretty normal to do that. And they love being creative and figuring out ways to do it. They love to try new things. And so I want you to think about that today as we close out and as you go into your last day of the month, the last day of the week, like all of the lasts, right? And you're like, here I am, 100 meters from the finish line of this month. What can I do to literally run with abandonment after my goals, after what God's calling me to do? What can I do to do that and choose joy in it? Not like, oh my goodness, let's just move to May. Let's just go. Let's just go. Let's just forget about today. Instead, your posture changes to say, how can I impact in a way that brings joy? I want you to think about those things. I think that the big thing, I was reading a book this week and it just talked about joy and people who enjoy life. And one thing that they said that I absolutely loved was learn to cultivate your own garden. Like keep your nose out of everyone else's garden and don't judge if they have weeds in their garden or if they're using a fertilizer that you don't think is good enough. Like just let them do their garden and you do yours. And I loved that. I loved that because so often we don't do a lot of things because we're judging everyone else and we're questioning why they're doing it that way. And then we're like, if it were me, this is how I would do it. Well, just go do it. Just go be creative. It's the same way in your business. Like stay in your lane. We always talk about that. Like don't look at how many other people have brought in ambassadors or they've hit their success sprints for the month. They've hit all of their goals and you're questioning or judging or saying, of course, that they did. Instead, just cultivate your garden and find joy in your circumstance at this moment, in the people that you're talking to, and the decisions that you're making. Really come to that place of cultivating your sense of purpose, your sense of mission. You can't live someone else's purpose and mission. You can only live in yours, and you can choose joy in the midst of all of it. So, grow your garden is what I'm going to tell you as we close out. Grow your garden and know that everything is as it should be at this moment, but you have the ability to change it. I think a lot of times as Christians, we're like, well, it is what it is, and this is how it's supposed to be. And I'm like, well, no, but God has you here to change it, to adjust it, to be like, we could improve it. So as you go into your day to day, like sit with the idea that everything is the way it should be in this moment without a doubt. And it might not be exactly where I want it to be, but guess what? I have the ability and the power to choose in this moment, and I have the ability to change this moment. And I think about that as we finish out this month is I have the ability to do some stuff today to end the month strong, or I can just step away. We lose our power when we just step away. We lose our impact when we don't choose well. And so know that you have that. Accept where you are, but know you have the power to improve it and have the desire to improve it. Choose joy in that moment. And then lastly, I just want to tell you as we end out and we're choosing joy and we're realizing we're going to take back control of the choices and the emotions and the thoughts that we have. I want you to know that there's not one way, there's not just the way to be successful. You can do anything and be successful. You can do this business anyway and be successful. Yes, there's systems. Yes, there's success prints that we see and follow, but be creative, be innovative. You're you. You have a very specific mind, very specific gifts and skill sets. Use the systems and be creative with the way that you present it. Be innovative. This is my way and you have your way within the systems. Don't live in a box. We don't want you in a box. I think whenever you put yourself in a box, you lose your joy. God created you very, very specific. So set your intention today. And I want you to think about your day right now. Appointments, messages that you need to send out, your goals for your month, the kids, where they need to be and what their schedule is, even all the way down to dinner time. My husband, as soon as he wakes, wants to know what's for dinner. I'm like, we hadn't even had breakfast. Like, just have breakfast first. We'll get there, right? I want you to think about the fullness of your day, all of it. And I want you to choose right now with really strong intention. I want you to visualize every situation. Maybe whenever we get off, take just a few moments to really visualize your day, your conversations, the meetings that you're in, how you're going to spend time with your kids, what your posture and your love language is going to be towards your kids. And in every moment, I want you to choose joy, even in the hard, and bring that joy. Don't wait for someone else to bring it to you. I want you to take it to them. So, how will you talk to people today? How will you posture yourself today? And honestly, how will you respond when people speak to you today? Think about those things. I hope that that was powerful and good. I hope that you will leave here with